Episode 2, Chainlink Sports, Episode 2. National champion on the show today. National champion, Justyn-Henry, Malloy, Vanderbilt, third baseman, first baseman. Jay, what are you now over there? Because you're all over the place, right?
Yeah, dude, for the most part. I mean, practice, you work everywhere. You work in different positions. I know my freshman year, I started out at third, then played a little bit of first, played a little bit of second, and then end of the year playing a lot of short, trying to learn from guys like Ethan Paul and, our best infielders. But, yeah, man, I mean, this year I was dominantly first base, but so it'd probably be like first and then third. But, I mean, it flip-flops. Just being an infielder overall, it's just kind of what you kind of got to be, just being good at all the positions in the field.
Absolutely. All right, so Jay, sophomore right now, Vandy, looking to get drafted next coming years. And then other guests today, Mike McMahon. Mike's got too many things on his resume for me to put on this piece of paper, but just real quick, he's the president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee at Becker, and also he's a part of the National SAC. 4.0 GPA, 4 years of college, and this year, unfortunately, because the season got cut short, but throughout the first 12 games, Mike led the NECC conference in batting average. So what we want to talk about here today is, so obviously you guys, Jay, and you're part of a national powerhouse baseball program, and Mike, I listen to some of the things that you do, and even you just got awarded the President's Award and the John J. Dursey Scholar Athlete Award. So both of you guys just very impressive, and you do it on the same but also different scales because you're both college athletes, but you have a lot of different requirements and demands. So let's go right into questions. So Jay, I want to ask you, so coming from Joe's, coming from your high school and then going to a national championship program like Vandy, what was that transition like for you?
It's different, man. I mean, it's something that you really can't put into perspective until after it's all done. But in my perspective right now, it's different. I mean, you really go from, it's that prototypical big fish, little pond to big fish, big pond. You turn in from the guy where you're the man in high school, you're top dog, and now you go into an environment and a culture where every single guy that you see in there was, the top dog where they were, the best player in their state, the best player, at their position in the country, some of the guys best players in the country, aka best player in the country. You can kind of go down that list and just check off a bunch of boxes, but you go from an environment where you're top dog to where you got a bunch of top dogs, and you got to see that's where you're really able to kind of evaluate yourself, especially in my case, being a freshman on a strength and conditioning level. You see how much more physically mature guys are, especially with 1 year, 2 year, and then with your seniors, a 3 year legitimate weightlifting program that they've all been through under their belts. And right. You see where you land physically, mentally and emotionally, especially. You go from being at Joe's in a very cozy, comfy environment, and then I got to go from New Jersey and then go all the way to Nashville, first time really away from my family for a while. Yep. But you see what type of dude you are, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I can even speak to that. Obviously, Becker College, Vanderbilt, but it's still college and it's still the next level up. And I went in there, first team lift. I got this guy Mike throwing up, three. Mike, what are you throwing up on a front squat? 330, 340?
Yeah, about 345, 350.
So this dude's cranking out front squats like it's no big deal. Guys deadlifting 500. So I think on every level, that's one of the biggest things you have to adjust to, is getting your strength up and all those things. So Mike, you've done a lot. I listed a couple of things that you've accomplished so far. But in your opinion, what's the most memorable accomplishment that you had throughout college in terms of baseball or outside of baseball with your programs and clubs and all that?
Yeah, so I mean, being a 2-year captain on a college baseball team, no matter what the level, is definitely something that it's not easy to do, and it's something that it was very honored to be able to be a part of. But then also being able to be a part of the national NCAA SAC and kind of have a voice for all student athletes across the country in D3, and being able to fly around and go through different conferences, meet so many people. And then other than that, I do a lot of work with Special Olympics, and a lot of that I had never had any affiliation with it before coming to college. And so from there, I've been able to work and put on events in 5 different states now. So being able to do that is probably some of my biggest achievements / things that hold dearest to me.
That's awesome. And also, with the Special Olympics too, um, Becker's also now being noticed on a national level, right?
Yes, it's up for a national NCAA spotlight poll. You can go on their website for NCAA partnership with Special Olympics, and trying to go back-to-back years with our event getting nationally recognized. So that'd be a good idea.
There
Nico
it is.
had a good part in it when we did it this year.
That's right. Hanging up some balloons is always a crucial part to the operation. But no, it was really it was a great experience, and the way you coordinated it. Obviously you have experience doing it, but it was really awesome, and just a great experience overall having the whole school community together. Um, so Jayan, in terms of so try and break down what it takes to be a student athlete at a school like Vanderbilt, because everybody knows, what I mean, like all the draftees that come out of there, all the games you guys win, but it's still a good school overall, and a lot of people, try to get into that school just because of its reputation as a academic institution. So just go into how you manage your time with baseball and schoolwork.
So to kind of take you through, so I'll kind of break down the fall for you, and then I'll kind of build it up into spring. So when we hit campus, it's around late August. We're not allowed in the facility for about 2 weeks to kind of get our feet under us, get our classes together, talk to our professors, do whatever we need to do. Then our schedule kind of looks like this. So it'll go Tuesday through Friday. We'll have lift. Saturday we'll have off, and then we'll have Sunday lift again, and then we'll have Monday off completely, so we can just kind of get our schoolwork together, talk to professors, office hours, etc. Then moving more into baseball, you start getting into lift probably it's more like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday with baseball every day. And it's like any other student athlete. You really got to prioritize your time. You got to know, you got to schedule your classes, especially, to how it's advantageous to you. So how I did mine was, I would schedule my classes a little bit later. So I would have my mornings to, whether, get into the facility, you could foam roll, you get into the facility, do some extra swings, and then go to class, whatever the case may be. But, yeah, it's like any other student athlete, prioritizing your time. Schoolwork is hard. It's Vandy. It's a good school. But, we have all the resources, the study hall, the tutors, our academic advisor, our athletic advisor. She's such a huge help. So, we have a good support system behind us. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
That's
think
awesome.
stemming off of that, I think it's whether you break it down, whether it's division, program, whatever you're in, it depends on what you want to put into it and what you want to get out, depending on how good of an athlete you want to be, how good of a student you want to be, how big of growth you want to have, whether it's overall or as a person. There may be different facilities, the programs may be better, there may be different fields that are kept up better, but at the end of the day, we're all putting in different work, and it depends on the work that you put in, not only with your organized group sessions, but alone on yourself is what you want to do. So everyone has 24 hours in a day. It just depends on what you really want to do with those hours to get it done. Because no matter where you're at, if you want to make an impact, you got to do much more than just go to class and go to practice.
No doubt, man.
Well,
I was listening
go
to you.
ahead.
My bad, Mom.
No, you go.
Well, I was just listening to you, and I was just finding out that you work with the Special Olympics, and I'm like, wow, man. We do our fair share of, community service over here, but to hear that, Becker's a nationally recognized university because of their how they interact in the Special Olympics. I think that's pretty awesome, man. Just thinking about how you manage schoolwork, baseball, and the community. I think that's a great thing, and I salute you for that. That's pretty dope, man.
I appreciate it. And I think one of the going off back to Vanderbilt, and people just think, oh, if you play baseball at Vanderbilt, you just must be this great athlete and that you're just going to go to the MLB, get drafted, that's it. Whereas people don't really think about they do because it has the accreditation, but Vanderbilt's one of the top places in the nation that you can go just to get an education alone. And from there, they're not just going to do the work for you and walk away like some other institutions may be. You actually have to go in, put in the work, and you have to be able to do it at a high level on and off the field. And from that, people only see the rings and the national championships, but they don't see whether it's an 8 a.m. class or an 8 p.m. class, depending on if you're in the fall or the spring. They don't see the work that typically goes in. So that's something that I appreciate from people that are at institutions like yours and doing big things like that.
Absolutely. So like even one last thing on like the classroom is that like a lot of guys don't realize that like you going to class and you doing your schoolwork and you studying and keeping up your grades, that's directly related to your sport if you are a college athlete. Because if your GPA is under, you're not playing. And me and Mike and Jay, I'm sure that you've experienced this too. But at our school, we've had a bunch of guys like either fail and they're not eligible, kids that failed and had to leave, kids that are on the brink of failing, and our coaches to stay on them. And a lot of guys just don't understand that like you doing your schoolwork is for baseball. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it sucks sometimes studying, but like at the end of the day, you're doing it to play, and
No doubt.
that's what everyone's passion is. You know what I mean? Like if you're on a college team, so people really need to understand the importance of that.
Dude, it's funny you bring that up because, it's pretty interesting to think about it. So when you think about our 2014, the 2014 national championship team, and then you think about our 2019 national championship team, a big difference and what's kind of weird and like you don't really think about this, but our team last year had one of the higher GPAs we've had in years. And then you look at the 2014 team GPA, very high. So like when you break down these years and these two specific years, and then you break down all the categories, it's like school is a direct correlation to how intelligent you are on the field. How well
Absolutely.
are you prioritizing? How well are you going to be responsible? Can you be held accountable? Like all of that, like you can't just be held accountable on a baseball field and then not accountable in the classroom. Because if I'm a coach, if you can't be accountable in a classroom, how am I going to be accountable? How am I going to expect you to be accountable when the game's on the line? You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
So like so for example, like if you're too lazy to do your homework and go to class and study, are you gonna be too lazy to dive for that ball? Like deep in the hole,
Right,
or like like run into that wall. You know what I mean? Like when you're chasing an outfielder,
right.
catchers like getting down and dirty. So like everything relates, and it's something that like weeds out the people who can't handle sports on a college level. And like I just said, me and Mike experienced like one of our teammates, one of our pitchers had to leave, who was going to be a good pitcher for us, had to leave because he wasn't able to do his schoolwork. And it relates on every level, and it's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's more of like coming into your own as a person, because as much as people expect you to just go, if you're talented at something, you're expected to just be good at it at the next level. When you go into a college sport, no matter what division you're in, you got to come into your own as a person too. You're on your own, you're living by yourself. You don't have someone over your shoulder making sure everything's done. So when you make that transition, it weeds out if what you're willing to sacrifice for not only your team but yourself in both aspects. Because if you can't sacrifice your time to get up in the morning, maybe get a little less sleep, to go to class and be eligible for your teammates, then your coaches or your teammates may not trust enough to make the necessary sacrifices to make the team itself work. Because if you can't pass a class or go to class at 8 a.m., you're not going to be able to get a hit 3-2 bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. It just kind of,
100%.
that's how it works.
Yep. So next question, Mike. Again, we've touched a lot on what you've done, but so since you are involved in so many things and you're able to keep up such a high academic standard and you're able to perform on the field, like what have you found is like the best tactic or the best way that you can manage your time and be able to focus and like when you're in class and then transition to the field and then transition to running, like clubs on a national level. So like what have you found is the best way for you to do that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just not being able to tell myself it's okay if it doesn't get done. Everything that I sign up for or put my name to, and then in my head, once that happens, it clicks. This has to get done no matter what. If I can't sleep for a little, like less throughout the day, or if I can't do this, then there's a sacrifice that needs to get done. Because if I put my name on something, you're going to get the best of me in every aspect of what it is. And then from there, if you use that mindset and then stay where you are in the moment and not think, oh, I got class and then I got to go to practice, and after practice I have a meeting, and then, oh man, I'm not going to be out of these meetings till 10 p.m. and I got to write a paper. just think, all right, I got 2 hours. I got to be in class for here. I'm going to give that my all. And then I'm going to go over, transition to the field. You're going to get everything I got out of me. And then from there, whatever you get, just sectionize your day and make sure that you give everything you have into it. And then you don't finish when you want to be done. You finish when everything's really over.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's dope. I like what you said about being able to not look ahead of what's in front of you, just kind of taking everything piece by piece. And I think that's important, just because, like, as college athletes, like, we all know, like, it's important to be able to separate, like, to be able to go to class and, you bombed that test, you failed it, but you can't take that to the field. So, like, after that class, like, you got to separate it. And then after you're done with being at the field, like, you got to separate that. Like, it's over. Then you got to go do your homework. Then once you go do your homework, all right, you separate that. Then you go, like, it's just more so not bunching everything together. I like what you said about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last question I want to ask you guys, and this is a little bit off topic of what we've kind of been discussing, but I think it's important because you guys both are in different positions for this certain topic. So, the NCAA came out with a new rule where college athletes can now make money off of their name and their brand and all that stuff. So Jay, and I want to start with you. Where have you had discussions with coaches, parents? Maybe you have some sort of advisor, like just something you've been thinking about. Because for you, being at a school like Vandy, the location also helps. So you being in Nashville, like the top players on that team, I'm sure are recognized in Nashville, and I'm sure now they're going to be promoting themselves, like whatever it is. So like, first off, what do you think of that new rule? And then do you have any plans so far for yourself?
Okay, so going off of what I think about it, I have very mixed emotions. I think one that, it's pretty cool to be a college athlete and, be like, your big faces. Like when you think of, your Kumar Rockers, you think of your JJ Bledays, your Austin Martins, like those are just guys that I played with. And for them to be able to use themselves as a brand, I think that's important, because they should, like, you should be able to use yourself as a brand. And I think that's important, especially, like it's kind of nice to think about how, like, you're able to build your brand while in college. And then, like, obviously, like when you get to pro ball, it's natural to kind of get lost in the shuffle. There's, hundreds of guys in pro ball. But while you're building your brand in college, you're not going to get as lost in the shuffle. People are going to know your name because you've built that brand in college. And I think that's an important aspect. I think guys should be able to do that off their name because it's their name. But at the same time, on the other hand, you got to think about how does that directly connect to the team. At the end of the day, it's about winning ball games. It's about creating relationships with your boys. But at the end of the day, like, and we'll come to find out about this, but how is, the guy who's getting the glamour that he absolutely deserves, how are some guys going to take it? And that's going to be a very subjective type of thing. Like, whereas me, like, if someone's getting, the glamour and they deserve it, go get it. But, for another guy, like, is that going to be, controversial? Like, is that going to be, an issue within a team? And that's something that you really don't want to tear apart. So I have very mixed emotions, but at the end of the day, I feel like someone who can use their name, they should be able to use it to make some money.
Or like maybe that guy who's getting the endorsements, maybe his attitude changes. Maybe he thinks, oh, I'm making money now, maybe I'm too good for this or whatever. Maybe his attitude starts affecting the team or his schoolwork or whatever it is. So that could also be another factor.
No doubt.
So Mike, you've done a lot of work with the NCAA, and so one question for you is: have you heard any like rumblings like throughout your meetings with them, like over the years? And how do you think this will play out with them? Like issues, like pros, cons. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so one of the things I do being on a committee for National SAC is I read through extensively on different legislation and laws that get put into the NCAA and what they're going to try and implement and try and be an advocate for and student athlete voice. I mean, specifically, I'm on the Division III level. There's a Division I SAC and there's D2 and all that. But we go through name, image, and likeness, and I've been reading through all this stuff for over a year now. But it goes both ways. I like how he said that there's different sections and mixed emotions on it, because people that are getting kind of just shown up and getting their name used and getting nothing in return, they should be able to use it and make money. You should be able to get your hard work done if you deserve it and you've been able to put it through. People are building stadiums off the backs of some college football players. You should be able to get some money in the back end on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it can also play a role in recruiting, which I'm interested to see where Division I recruiting can go based on name and image and likeness deals, depending on state to state where it is actually implemented. Because if you can get a company to come in and have a big deal for a high school athlete that's coming in to try and get to their school, it can really change things up. So I'm interested to see how that plays out in Division I sports. But specifically for D3, some people may not think there's any applications of this at all. And in a lot of cases, there isn't. Like, we're not going to be on TV. We're not going to be having big endorsement deals like that. But part of name, image, and likeness that not many people really know is that you can't really brand yourself at all, like saying that you're an athlete. If I wanted to say do hitting lessons, it would be an NCAA violation in the past couple of years. If I put a photo of me hitting in a college setting or saying I'm a college baseball player, I wouldn't be able to tell any client that I tried or any parent that I tried to go say, hey, I'll try and teach a kid how to hit. How are they going to hire me if I'm like, hey, I'll teach a kid how to hit $50 an hour. All right, what have you done with your credentials? Oh, don't worry about it. I can't tell you that. Just trust me. So
Right,
I think
right.
from there, that's a good thing that can come out of this. But there's a lot on the Division I level that we're going to see unfold in real time because there's no way to look at it unless it's out there. That
Yeah.
we're going to see whether recruiting, like you said, in the locker room, see how everything comes out with people making a lot of money, people not making a lot of money, some people thinking they deserve more money than they do. It's all going to unplay, but I think it's something that has to be done. And even though we're going to see some downfall, we're going to see a lot of uprising and good things that come for student athletes. So it's kind of a bullet you got to bite in some aspects to make sure that there's enough good to go around.
Yeah. So one more point in this. So Jayhan, you guys at Vandy, you guys are sponsored by Nike, right?
Yes.
So like for example, let's use the kid Kumar Rocker for an example. He's projected #1 overall pick in a year or two, this and that, no hitter in the College World Series. What if Under Armour comes up to him and like, we're gonna offer you this amount of $1 million, or we're gonna offer you this or this? You know what I mean? Like, as as a kid in college, and listen, getting drafted isn't a guarantee. He could blow out his arm, tomorrow.
Yeah,
Throwing the bullpen. So like, well, I mean, yeah, of course we don't wish that on anybody, but like that's just life and that's sports, But if he accepts that deal with Under Armour, how is that going to play out with Vandy and the school and Nike? Because they're endorsing the school, and now Kumar's got a deal where he's got to wear Under Armour sweatshirts, socks, gloves, cleats, whatever. So that's another point that I think could be interesting.
No, man. I mean, like, I actually didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's really an interesting point. Because I mean, think about, like, I think about a school like mine, and think about how many guys on a field could be sponsored by this brand, this brand, this brand, this brand, this brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and thinking of like this year, we're using a big guy like Kumar. Then Kumar has Under Armour. Austin has Adidas.
Yep. And also, so like at your school, you could have 7 different guys with 7 different companies.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you have the start, or you have like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy, one's in this, one's in this, one's in this, but the team wears Nike, and dude, I mean, at that point it's just a mess. But what's more, you kind of got to weigh out your pros and cons. Like, what's better for the kid or what's better for the team? Like, obviously you got to pick the team, but at the same time, like, that kid, like, he made his money, he got his contract, like, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
But it's pretty interesting to think about that. I didn't think about that.
And if a school, the way I think about it in that sense is, I don't know what will be passed eventually and see what will happen, but if a deal is made through the school to get a player a contract, say Vanderbilt's like, hey, I can get you, like, you guys are already sponsored by DeMarini, but I can get you a deal with DeMarini, you do these contracts, you do these, you put Instagram posts, you do all that. Does the school get a cut of it if they facilitate the contract? How does it get distributed? How does the kid actually get his money? Where does the school come in to go through that? Does his scholarship get taken away if he's making more money than his academic scholarship allows? Does it try and open up different ways for people to bring up more scholarships? it's kind of it's a Pandora's box of stuff that can go either good or bad, but it's kind of something that we won't know until it happens. I'm very interested to see how it goes.
Absolutely. So that's gonna be all the time we got. But guys, I think this was a great conversation. A lot of great insight from the both of you guys. Like reason why I wanted you guys on is just very different perspectives, great opinions, great conversations, and just thank you guys so much for doing this.
No doubt, bro.
No problem at all. Great talking with you guys.
Absolutely.
All right, signing off right now.